Welcome to this week's episode of Success in Women, the show about women helping women. This week, we've decided to talk about a to-do list.
Well, first of all, I'm Andrea.
And I'm Linda.
So, yes, we're going to talk about that. You find, or I find, every season, we have a to-do list, personal and in your home. Things you have to change out, things you have to clean up, things you have to bring out, especially Christmas time. And sometimes it can be very overwhelming. And I found this year when I came back from Florida and I wasn't feeling well, and I had my spring to-do list and I knew it had to get done. And it was on my mind, and it was overwhelming me and putting me in a bad mood, and because I couldn't get to it, and finally, when I was able to start, I figured out in my mind what I wanted to do, made a list of what I had to get in order to do some of the stuff. And I started going through the list. And then, of course, I brought on some more work for myself. And I had to add that to the list. But after about 2.5 weeks, I got to the bottom of the list. And I was like, I told my daughter, I said, I feel so good now. I feel freed. And if you procrastinate, you won't have that feeling. And you'll keep looking at the mess or looking at the job, saying, oh, I got to get to that. Just do it. Make the list, get up in the morning and say, okay, even if I get one thing done today, I know I've knocked something off the list and I can start moving forward.
And one of the things that you mentioned, Andrea, was the fact that you were feeling overwhelmed. And if you feel overwhelmed, it actually prevents you from doing other things that you really need to do. And so if, like you said, just do it, make the list and do it. I sold my house 1.5 years ago, as you know, and I went from living in over 4,000 square feet by myself to living in 400 square feet.
Can you imagine?
And, when they talk about tiny places, you have to make it work. So even more now, I have to actually come up with my to-do list, especially seasonally. So when I've only been home from Florida a few weeks, and I had to get rid of my winter clothes, even though it's sometimes a little cool here. But what I had to do is, because I have one closet, and that closet is for everything.
Wow.
And so, first of all, one of the things that I started doing was purging all the clothes that I've had, that a lot of them I wasn't wearing for a long time. And I've given a lot of that to Salvation Army and Goodwill so that somebody else can use it. But I wasn't wearing it. But while I had the house and lots of closet space, I didn't worry about it.
You didn't worry about it, and you didn't see it half the time.
And I didn't see it.
Like I have a closet here, that upstairs, and I put all the clothes that you don't wear so often, like going out clothes and stuff. So I don't see it.
So one of my neighbors, because she happened to live in a tiny place like I did, up until she upgraded herself to 800 square feet. But she's with her husband, so that's 2 people. It still equals to 400 per person. So she taught me, because I have a Murphy bed in my apartment.
Oh.
And a Murphy bed is, comes out of the wall, but above the Murphy bed, there is a space between the top of that bed and the ceiling, just enough to put these baskets. They're about this deep.
Okay.
And I have about 6 baskets above the top. And it looks nice in the apartment. But what I was able to do was fold my summer t-shirts and my summer dresses and things, put that away so I could have my winter stuff out. And now that I'm back home, I have to change it and put the winter stuff back in. So a lot of the things that I'm not going to be wearing until the fall, I've put now up there. And I had no choice but to do that. What was happening is that I took this and started thinking, okay, am I really going to be wearing these? Because whether it's a t-shirt, a pair of pants, a dress, the fact is, I keep wanting to buy new stuff in the season, but I don't have the room that I can keep everything I had before.
Right.
And so now, as I was unloading and, shifting the clothes around, I was looking at things differently and looking at it and saying, do I really need to keep it, or can somebody else use it? And so now I've gotten rid of even more bags that I've put together. I'm running out of clothes now to give away, because I was reading or listening to an audio book, and this lady decided she needed to do that. She needed to purge. She just felt like she was being overwhelmed with clutter. So she went and she donated all of her clothes. Wow. To the point where she had to start over buying. Now, not that was a big hardship.
Yeah, that's not a problem for a lot of people.
But the point is, she overdid it, and I have to be careful that I don't overdo it. But I want to be able to buy new stuff, because sometimes just the spring makes me feel better.
Yes.
When you were making your to-do list, you were telling me that you went and bought the new planters, like the plants for the planters, and painting up the old ones to make them look new again. And we have to sometimes do that, but that list of things we have to do gets bigger and bigger and bigger if we don't get around to tackling it.
Exactly.
And we will be thinking about it subconsciously, even when we're at work, even when we want to do something else. It's always on your mind.
When you're trying to go to sleep at night, you think about, wow, I have so much to do tomorrow. And then, you pray that when you get up, you'll have the energy to do it. And that's another thing. I always try and do things first thing in the morning, because that's when I have the most energy. And then I find when I start doing it, my energy builds. And then you get rid of one thing, you have the energy to do the next thing. And the more you get done, the more you want to do.
Well, I guess that's the thing. You get motivated.
You do.
I think the starting point is always the hardest. If you can't get to that start, because I know with me, and you're much better at this than I am, you're a lot more energetic in the morning to start, and so you build on that.
Right.
What happens with me is that I can procrastinate a lot and I find that I lose a lot of time and a lot of my day, and then I don't feel like it, because by the end of the day I'm like, oh, well, you know what?
What's the point of starting now?
Exactly.
But you won't have time to finish, and then it'll drag into the next day.
But what was really good is the other day I actually thought, because I needed some summer clothes, and I realized when I looked in my closet, they were all up in the baskets, and I had no choice, so I had to bring it down. Well, once I got started, like you said, that was my motivation, because I needed something to wear. But if I didn't have that, I might have procrastinated even longer to try to get that switch over. And I'm good when I start. I'm like, no problem. I want to get it all done. It's starting.
Getting motivated.
It's that motivation to actually, and Andrea has a family that she's looking after. I have me to look after. And so who's going to give me heck if I don't do it?
If you don't do it, right.
And the only thing is, though, it plays on my mind, because I keep thinking, I have to do it. I have to do it. And I've recently signed up for a course, and I started a couple of the lessons, but really we're about 4 weeks into the course of a 3-month course. And I'm so far behind. But I said to myself, this week, I'm actually going to set the time aside and continue to do what I paid for, because it costs a lot of money, and I can easily sign up for courses, but then if I don't do it, I don't have the benefit of what I'm spending the money on. And I really do like the value of if I'm going to spend it, it's because I feel like I'm going to get a lot out of it. But I have to motivate myself.
Yes.
And sometimes that's the hard part. In this particular case, I was thinking about it this morning, because again, it doesn't leave my mind, thinking, okay, I have to put the time aside. I have to go and just do it. And I think as I get more into it, I'll probably want to fast track myself and actually get ahead of the...
because you'll get excited about it. You start to get excited. And that's what you need to do. Like, and I found too with my to-do list, the big thing was, of course, the planting. So it's like, it's a big job, of course, but and you think, oh, do I have the strength today or tomorrow? And then, you can't go buy them and let them sit for 2 weeks outside. So you have to make sure you have the time. And then once I got out there, and Eddie and I went, And once we started looking at the plants and I was looking at them, I could feel myself getting excited about doing it. You know, so that's what I'm saying. Take that first step, get what you need. And of course, you should make sure you have all that you need to start your project.
Yeah.
Because if you stop and have to run to the store or I'll pick it up tomorrow, that is not helping your cause.
Well, you won't get it done.
You won't get it done. And, you know, that'll be another sleepless night. So, you know, I made sure I had all the plants. I had the paint for the cast iron pots in the back. I had the Miracle Grow sprinkle things to put in the plants to help them grow. And I got started, and now they're planted. I'm so happy. They're beautiful, and that job done. There was still a few other ones, but they all got done also.
But one of the things is that, you know, you had to make that list. Mm-hmm. So you had to think about what it is you want to get done and then what you're going to need to get that job done.
Yeah.
And when you have the list, it actually releases from your subconscious. Now you don't have to think about it. You just have to remember where you put your list.
Yeah.
And then, you know, check things off. But, you know, it's a lot of times like on Sunday nights, a lot of people get stressed because they have to go to work on Monday.
Right.
And I know a lot of people said, oh my God, I hate Sundays. And I'm like, why? They said, because I have to work in the morning. But it's really because they have a lot of stuff on their mind, and they haven't made the list of what it is they need to do to prepare for the next day.
Right.
Whether it's getting your work clothes out, if you've got projects that you have to do at work, you know, just laying it all out on a piece of paper, put things in priority if you can, then you can forget about it. You don't have to think about it. And that way you can have a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
Because you know you've got the list. You're not going to forget about it because it's already done. And you've done it during the day when you're, I'll say, at peace.
Right.
But you know that things have to be done. And if you don't do it is when you lose the sleep at night.
Exactly.
Because you're thinking about, and it becomes overwhelming. And again, if you're not fresh in the morning, it's because you've been thinking about all the stuff you've got to do.
You got to do. Yeah.
It's easier just to write the list and then tackle it. And you know, in all the years of taking a lot of courses, I know that a lot of very successful people will make a list. And they'll have lists for everything.
Right. Oh, I love lists. If I'm doing a party, I'll make a list of what I need for decorations, what I need for the food. I have all the lists. And that, like you say, it eases your mind just knowing you have the list.
Exactly.
And you know what you need. You're not going to forget something at the last minute. And it really helps a lot. And nothing worse than getting somewhere and saying, oh, I forgot this or I forgot that. Oh, my goodness, you know, and that's why it's good to have the list. And it's funny because there was a joke on Facebook or somebody said, I hate it when I make a list at the grocery store and I get there and I forgot the list.
That is a problem.
You got to remember to bring the list, right? Well, otherwise you overbuy.
Yeah. Well, my mother actually always overbought when she went grocery shopping in the old days because my mother would not make a list. And the thing that she went to the grocery store for was probably the thing that she forgot to buy. Almost 100% of the time.
Well, I have on my fridge this magnet pad, and it is a grocery list, and it has all different items.
Oh.
And as the day's going by, if I run out of something, I just jot it down. Or when I'm going, or my husband saying I'm going over to the grocery store, you need anything, I'll have it'll say like fruit, vegetables, condiments, meat, dairy, and I've marked all that off. So that's a really handy thing to have. I have it here and I have it in Florida so that you're not overbuying or you're not forgetting things that you really need.
And I think with the telephones now too, you can do it in your notepad on the phone. There might even be apps. I haven't taken advantage, but I actually I use my notes on my phone a lot.
He'll say to me, you know, just tell me what you need, and I see him putting it in, or email it to him. You know, they don't like to carry the list. So, okay, well, I'm old school. I love to have paper in my hand.
Whether it's paper or electronic, the fact is when you have the list, it does help you get through the stuff that you got to do, whether it's shopping or like you said, when you were doing all the spring stuff that you had to get done and
or
the things that you had to buy for, or the party.
Hosting dinners or parties.
Well, it's interesting you talk about the parties because I used to make all my grocery lists. And again, at that time, I was doing them by hand, all the things that I needed. One of the things that I didn't do that I've learned, again, when you make mistakes, it's where you learn. I hosted a couple of parties when I still had my house, and I had everything ready to go, things in the fridge. And when it was a sit down dinner, even like for about 8 to 10 people, I had a list of stuff that I wanted in my head. I was saying, okay, this is my meal plan. So I made the grocery list, got all the stuff. Never made the list when it was time that I was going to be serving and in what order, to the point where people got fed. But then at the end of the evening, I thought, oh, I didn't put this out. It was a dish that I had made for that dinner party.
That does happen.
Yes, and it was still in the fridge. I totally forgot. I mean, because there was enough food for all of these things, but this extra thing that I had made, I forgot to put it out because it wasn't on a list that I didn't create the list for serving. And you have to, even for that.
And even in for cooking, like, because, you know, most people have only one oven and, you know, 4 spots on the stove top. And you have to think to yourself, okay, the meat, when do I need to put that turkey in? When do I need to put that ham in? So that my oven will be free to put in the potato, whatever whatever other casserole you're doing. And then you have enough time to let something sit to cool. And so you have to figure that all out. Now, of course, now I know more the timing, but when I was younger, I had, you know, to write it all down because I didn't want to have, you know, you have your potatoes sitting on the stove for 4 hours while the turkey's cooking, you know, or something. So you have to really, to be successful and not so crazy, you have to make a list and be organized.
Yeah. And one of the things, and this hasn't to do with the list, but it sort of is, because when you were talking about having the list to time certain things when you have to do them in order, what's interesting is my aunt had taught me one little trick, because we're Ukrainian in my family. And so for every holiday, you know, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, we always had, one of the dishes was cabbage rolls. And cabbage rolls takes a long time in the oven.
Yes.
But you still have the other things that you've got to make. So what would happen is that because we only had the one oven, we would cook the cabbage rolls. And she was visiting one time over the holidays. And what she did was she got it out of the oven. She wrapped it up in a quilt.
Oh.
And it kept it hot for hours while you were cooking some of the other food.
That's a good idea.
I couldn't believe that. I thought, who would have even, I mean, I would never have thought of that.
Yeah.
But now not now because I'm in 400 square feet, but when I was in my house after that, I started doing that because it actually worked really well to keep, so I could get the cabbage rolls in
do
early,
that next time.
and yet just take a quilt and wrap it up tightly.
You know another trick I learned on Facebook, and I don't even know why I didn't think about it before. And I saw it on Facebook and I shared it, and a lot of my friends were saying, oh yeah, I do that, or oh, what a great idea. When you're having a party and you know you need so many things to put in the fridge. You might have a fruit platter, dessert. You might have like cold salads. And most people have one fridge. And I do have one in the basement, but it didn't matter. I'd still run out of room for these trays and the casserole dishes. And what they were doing was they're using their cutting boards. They take the cutting boards and they slide it on top of the casserole dish, and you can put another casserole dish on top.
Wow.
And so last party that I had, that's what I did. It was amazing.
Wow.
How I didn't know this before when I was, you know, trying to switch things around in the fridge. But that's another good tip for, you know, making space and getting yourself organized and not panicking to have things staying cold until you need them to be served, or you make them the night before,
right?
And you don't need to put them in the oven, you know, till the next day. So you know that they're going to be safe and they're okay in there.
But that's actually a really good thing, because even on your list, when you're trying to organize yourself in the kitchen, saying, okay, well, I can put, you know, have this on the bottom, and I can put my cutting board on top of that to have this particular thing and everything. Then you don't even have to look anymore because you kind of got it organized in your fridge.
What's in the fridge.
So you also know in the order that you need to take things out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love lists.
The little different tips to help you organize and help you declutter, get ready for the season. You just have to. And a lot of times I'll even Google things, like how can I do this or what should I do about that? And it's right there and you take what you want from it.
Yeah, and I think that even when you talk about decluttering or organizing your house, you can take these skills into the workplace and it'll help you, again, to accomplish a lot more throughout the day because it's easy to waste a lot of time at work as well. And if you make the list of the jobs that need to get done, and do that and then some, maybe depending on if you're an employee or an employer, whether or not you're the one in charge, the fact is, you get so much more done, you'll also get recognized.
Yeah.
So it's, something to take into that. So ladies, declutter, organize yourself, use a list because it does make a difference.
Get motivated.
Yes,
and
that's
you
the biggest.
Feel so good.
That's really the best point of the whole thing.
Yes.
You do feel better once you've accomplished something.
You really do. Self-accomplishment and just relief.
Yes, yes. So until next week, I'm Linda.
Andrea.
We want you to
like,
subscribe,
and share.
Remember, we can't do it without you, and we're here for you. See you later.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.